Everyone right in that garage here. I got a Kawasaki prairie 360 four-wheeler. I done put a new fuel line on it. A few other fuel lines all cracked. The guy brought it in with it idle, and after it idle for a while it'd die. Made a rookie mistake. Forgot to check the gas in it, and the gas was basically, well, I think I got it still sitting out here. The gas was basically like brown. Yeah, this was the old gas out of it. Not very. Wouldn't use it. Don't even hardly smell like gas no more. I still ain't cleaned out my garage. But I cleaned out the carburetor yesterday. Had it running good, and then let it sit. That gas set in the carburetor and gunked it up again. So I drained all the gas out of it. It's got new gas in it. I just got it cut off right now so no gas leaks out. And I got the carburetor soaking right now. I'm gonna let it soak for about an hour and then take it and put it all back together. I got the O-ring, little washer, spring for the pilot jet, float still works good. Needle valves out of it, everything's out. Just waiting on it to finish soaking, put it in, and then fire it up, which you gotta pull start this one because the electric start does not want to work on it. Every now and again it does. Check belt light was flashing on here yesterday. So in order to clear it, you gotta take these two plugs, and if I'm not mistaken, this one and this one go together. You leave its two wire plugged up, turn the key on, let the check belt light flash, then you come down and unplug this. After it flashes for so long, you unplug this, let it slow down on flashing for so long, turn the key off, hook everything back up the way it's supposed to be, you know, this one to this one, black to black, gray to gray, hook the two wire back up, and then this, and then turn the key back on, and then check belt light will quit flashing. It resets it. I did take his cover off. You got 10mm bolts. There's one here, one there, one right here, one down there, one there, one right back in there, one right back in there, you know. You gotta take this off, pull this cover straight off, and then you can look at the belt. The belt's still good, belt still looks good, everything. It ain't lost no width to it or anything, so all that's still good. So just put that back on, and then there's this little toggle switch here. It's got an on and an off. Make sure it's on whenever you take this cover off to reset the check belt light. Make sure this thing is on. And then I'm gonna let this carburetor set for a little bit longer. Still got about, I don't know, about 25 minutes left for it to soak. And then I'll be back once I get it out and blow it off and everything. So yeah, just be right back. Alright, sorry I didn't make it back the other day. A buddy of mine stopped by, and then we ended up chit-chatting and messing with this thing a little bit. But as you can see, I got the carburetor back on, but it still didn't want to run right. And then so we messed around with it for a little bit, and then now you can see we're adjusting valves because them things were tighter than a banshee. And it was popping through the exhaust. It was popping back through into the airbox. You could actually see this cover popping up. And then I like, well, let's check the valves. So here we are. Got the valves. I got this wrote down. I had a piece of paper I wrote down on. It's a FedEx paper, but the exhaust is 0.15 to 0.20 millimeter, or that's in inches. And then the intake is 0.08 to 0.13 millimeter, and then the ain't got the inches wrote down there. So I got it. Where's my feeler gauges? See, the intake is supposed to be 0.08, 0.13. I got it to focus. That's just 0.10. That's in between, you know, on the inches scale. The 0.004 is just supposed to be 0.003 or 0.005. So I went right in the middle of the spec on it, and you can, well, if I get it in there right, see, it's got some drag on it, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be tight on there. You gotta sit there and jerk this thing out. You don't want it loose. It just slides right up underneath there. You want that little bit of drag on it. You want that drag right there to be on there. You can adjust how much drag you want, but also make sure you got drag. And then I got the exhaust, which I ain't gonna show because it's harder than heck get to. I had to take the tire off, and this inner fender piece that goes all up in here. Let me show you. Let me set this back down. I got this inner fender piece that bolts in right down there, and it's got another one in brackets that go right up here, and it's got a couple of spots. Let's see, it's got one right up here, one right over there, one right there. There's two down here. Like I said, there's that one, and I do believe there's like one or two right over in here somewhere, but I do believe they done took them out whenever they brought me this four-wheel. Basically, how you see this four-wheel right now, besides the gas tank being off of it, because I got the gas tank sitting over here. That's another carburetor for it. Basically, how you see it is how I received it, which I did take this off. That way I took the recoil off of it so I could get a 19 millimeter, if I can get this thing focused, 19 millimeter socket. Fits right up on that nut, on that bolt. That way I can turn it freely. I took the plug out of it, which is sitting right here, the inspection plug. Took it out. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna go back, recheck all the valves again, make sure that nothing's happening. Make sure you get top dead center. I don't know if I can get this to focus in or not. Let me see if I can get my mirror to... I got my light on my phone for the camera and stuff. Can you see that line right there? That's your top dead center mark. I do believe, I can't tell, but there's a line right there. It's the only line you can find on this thing. So I spun it around to make sure. It's the only line I can find. And it's got to be in the middle of that hole. I just used a little cheap mirror. I got to think off eBay or Harbor Freight or something. But I mean, they're cheap. They're easy, because I didn't want to have to take off all this exhaust. Because, you know, we got rusty fasteners and stuff. I didn't want to break anything, so I just took the expansion plug out, got me a mirror, looked down in there, lined it, and kept on turning it until I found my marks, then lined it up. And then once I got it center, then, you know, they put a new coil on there, but they had the old coil sitting back there, and I was like, well, let's see if it still works. Put it on, it still works. So they've been throwing parts at her, trying to fix her. This is that carburetor is actually, I talked to the dude yesterday, see if he had the original one, so I was just gonna try to rebuild the original one and put it back on here, because these China remakes of them, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes just the inside just a little bit smaller. That's the problem I had with you can see that carburetor right there. It's brand new, and it's actually for a Kohler 15 horse or 16. But that carburetor over there, the hole's too small. the other one's got a bigger opening. So sometimes he said the other original carburetor was trashed. So this is the 4th carburetor that they bought for this thing. This is number 4, and that one right there on top of that can is number 3. But the only thing this one ain't got on it, it's got the ground plug for the bowl, but it ain't got, the only thing it ain't got is this right here. This is a heater. That's the only thing it ain't got. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could probably take that carburetor back off, probably find what thread this is, tap it out, but the guy told me he wasn't worried about it, so if he ain't worried about it, I ain't gonna worry about it. But yeah, I still ain't got the little tube on there for breather for the carburetor, atmospheric pressure and stuff. But right now I got the gas tank off. Had to clean the petcock out on it. The petcock had a bunch of junk in it too. It really needs another boot, but as long as that boot's working, I guess. And he needs, let me get over here. I don't know if you can see it. Well, I don't want to do it now. When you got it up, I can't get to it one-handed. We're not well going. But now you got it up, it's got a play in the wheel bearing over there. This one ain't got no play in it, but that one over there, that right front, has got play in the wheel bearing. So I went and did everything on it. Yeah, I tested this out. They put a new one of these on there trying to get that electric start running, but this is actually original one, and it's actually still good. So I checked the spark plug. They got another spark plug from Honda, even though this is a Kawasaki. They got another spark plug just like the one that's in there, and they're both still good. They just been throwing parts at it, so they just kept on throwing carburetors at it. So hopefully this is the last resort right here. It's just adjusting the valves. Like I said, both valves were like, you know how valves, you got just like a little bit of play in them. With this one, you can't really see on camera. But it's got a little bit of play in it. And this exhaust has got a little bit of play in it. Whenever I took the covers off, which these are your covers, and they do got an up. So, you know, with this, when I put it on this motor, that face, this up faces towards the top of the motor. And then on the exhaust, it goes just like that. Up facing towards the top of the motor. Which, when I put these back on, I'm going to get just a little bit of grease and go around these edges. That way I know they seal. Which is in the manual too. They tell you to put a little bit of grease on them to reseal them. Unless you buy the new O-rings to go in here and just pop these O-rings out. Pop all these old O-rings out and then just put new ones in. But we're just going to throw some grease. A little bit. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. Just a little. And then, like I said before, starter, you hit the button. You hear it click back here. Then you hear it click. The solenoid will click on. The starter won't engage. You take the handle of a screwdriver or this and you reach in here and you peck it about 2 or 3 times, it'll crank over. So needs a new starter on it. I forgot to tell the guy last night, but I wrote it on the invoice for it. I wrote it down, and I checked the vent on the gas tank, make sure it was venting, and it vents. I checked the breather. They put a brand new breather on there, and I went out and got this too because it was a pain to adjust that carburetor. So I got this big long screwdriver. It's got a 90-degree bend in the end of it. It goes up inside the carburetor and you can just turn it. It's even got a line here and it's got a line on this. That way you can tell how many times you've turned it. And then What else have I done on this thing? I went through and checked all the wire and checked the fuse, and everything's good. The charging system on there, it's running, the charging system works on it. I tested it out, tested the battery. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to doing this, listen to some music, and I always cut it off away and listen to music while I work, because if I don't, I'll get hit by YouTube for copyright. So I will get back with y'all. Alright everybody, Redneck Garage. I did make a mistake earlier in the video. The line that I was wanting to show you actually is right up above that other line I had showing on here, but it's got a T on it, you'll see it. But that's for top dead center, and I just forgot to accidentally turn the motor a little bit. But as you see, I got the carburetor still on it, gas tank's back on it. I don't know if you can see, but I got the covers on right there, and then the exhaust is on, but I got the piece back in there and stuff, and then the tires back on. Ended up doing all that, and it still didn't want to run right, even though I soaked this carburetor, did everything I could to it. I still had one problem. I had to walk away yesterday and just think about it, and then actually it run good without. You disconnect that tube from the air box, or disconnect the snorkel piece that goes up right there. You disconnect it, it'll run good. Right here is your problem. Them two right there. This one right here you gotta clean out. It goes down to the air bleed screw down inside the bowl, which you can take out and clean. And this one, I mean, well, folks, you can see almost down in there to the main jet where this needle is. It just pushes air. When air pulls air, it pushes it down through each one of these, and it helps with getting pressure, like kind of build up in the bowl, whatever, or suck it up in there. It helps suck it up in there, but it helps get air to help push gas out. So I got my, let me set this down up here. I got my torch tip cleaners, or carb cleaners, whatever one you want to call them. These are actually belonged to my papa a long time ago when he worked in fabricating. He gave them to me because I always used them to clean carburetors with when I was younger. But they got little bitty edges on them, like little rings. I don't know if I can get that to focus or not. But you push down through there, and then you see there's a piece of junk still stuck to it. But you clean them out with these, and now where this carburetor ain't got this heater on here, right there, and right there's the ground, and that's got a positive going to it. Where it ain't got the heater going on there, you can't just hop on it, you know, and take off. You gotta let it warm up. These Kawasaki's are, heard a lot of bad stories about them. I ain't really worked on them that much. I mean, besides, you know, just changing tires or something like that. But the carb issue about them not wanting to run, everybody I talk to in the little small engine world has mentioned about they don't like to run unless they're warmed up. And this thing is the same exact way. You let it warm up, runs good. You try to give it gas or throttle while it's cold, it'll sit there and start trying to die on you. They're cold natured for some weird reason. They're just cold natured. Had a car like that once before, but it does need, I'm going to cover all this information, it does need a new starter, and like I said, the right front wheel bearing has play in it. I'm getting ready to clean up all my tools and everything. I got a bunch of junk. Actually, this one I didn't even use on here. I used it on my nephew's carburetor for his motor. But yeah, I mean, if you can get some of these things are great. They're hose pliers. I got 3 different sizes. That's the middle one. This is the smaller one. I got a bigger one over there in the toolbox. If you can get some of them, I think I got these from eBay. they're pretty good. Get you a pick set because you know you're going to need it. And then, like I said, filler gauges, you're going to need them. I got some of these, and actually these are pretty cool too. This is what I use to adjust the idle. It's right here because it's long, and I can reach right on in here and go into there and adjust the idle. Instead of trying to reach a hand down in there or trying to use, you know, these pliers to try to turn it. It's got an Allen head on it. I put that in there, and away we go with it. I got my fan going. My garage is a mess, like I said before. This is a tool you need for adjusting carburetors. I don't know if I showed y'all this yet or not. I'll see if I can put a link for it in the description. If you're going to work on these things, because that jet is right in the bottom of that carburetor. Fuel jet. But you need one of these screwdrivers here. That way you ain't got to sit there and twist and turn on the carburetor and all that stuff. I'll see if I can put a description down in the description about that tool. Actually, right here it is. I got it from Summit Racing. It's called the Pit. Well, it's a Pit Boss Tools. It's a pilot screw adjusting tool, and right there's the part number. I'll let it say there so y'all can get that. Alright, and then, you know, yeah, and if you like these lights that I got, you know, this one's about dead, but I'll show you a better one. I just got some new ones in. These are from, these right here. These use a regular cell phone charger, like this. But they are pretty, well, let's see, shine this over here. It's brighter than the flashlight on my phone. But yeah, it's a pretty bright light. But I got some black ones. I got these off eBay, but the piece down here, it holds this piece in like it breaks a lot. So I ended up getting some different ones, and I'll show you them in case you want some. I threw them in things in a box over here. These are the boxes that came in. I don't know if it's got a part number on it. Well, here you might be able to look at it up on a Summit. But yeah, they're pretty handy. They're expensive, but they're handy. But yeah, though, I mean, she runs good now as long as you let her warm up. If you let her warm up, she runs good. So I guess I'm gonna call this one fixed as long as they let her warm up, because there is no getting her to run when she's cold. When she's cold, she will not run, but you let it warm up. And I think that's the reason why Kawasaki put a heater in the carburetor, is because of that problem. I think that's the reason why they did that, because so many people having problems with it. Like I said, this one is a 2004 Prairie 360. Couldn't get the rest of it cleaned off there, but I got 2004. But yeah, so everything else is good. I mean, I just gotta, well, there's one other problem. The four-wheel drive light's on, and I do believe it is that piece right there. But you're looking at, I think them things are like, well, I know they're like $200 or more. So, and if you ever want to figure out, this is your CDI box, but you got an igniter box on here. Let me show you where that's at. Here's your other piece, but your igniter box is right up here on top of the toolbox. And another thing you want to do, you see all that junk on the floor right there and all that powdery crap? It's this plug right here, which this one didn't want to come out. How I got it out, I heated it up with that MAP gas torch. I heated it up really hot, and then after I heated it up real hot, I sprayed it down with some water, just regular old tap water in a spray bottle. Spray down with some water until it cooled all the way down. Got me a pipe wrench, broke it loose, and just turned it about a quarter turn with a pipe wrench. Then I have these things I got from Lowe's. Put these on there, turned it right out, and then all that junk fell out. And then you take an air nozzle, stick up in there, blow it out. You can blow it out down through here too. And then also I had it out, I started up and let it run for a little bit and watch some more stuff fall out. But it's for your spark arrest thing, but it'll make them run like crap too. So yeah, just remember this has line on it, it's got a T. If I had this back off I'd show you, but go just a little bit past that first line I showed you, and then there's a line with a T next to it that you go to, and then you can adjust your valves. And like I said, what I adjusted the valves to was 004, and in the millimeters 0.102, and then 007 0.178. For this one was the intake, and this one the 10 was for the intake, 17 was for the exhaust, because like I showed you earlier, the exhaust was in between 15 and 20, and the intake in between 8 and 10 on the millimeter. So 17 and 10 is perfectly within spec of everything. So just keep that in mind. I mean, it runs pretty good like that though. A lot of people like making them tighter, but I didn't want to make them tighter because my filler gauges are just the cheap ones from Advance. As you can see, say Autocraft on them. So I mean, they had what I needed. As long as it was in spec, it's the only thing you need. You ain't got to have it perfectly on 8, or let's see what the lowest settings are. Some people like to set them low. Lowest setting is 15 on the exhaust, the intake's 8, and the highest setting's 20 on the exhaust and 13 on the intake. But as long as you're in between each one of these, see, like I'm at 10, I'm 2 up from 8 and 3 down from 13, and then 17 I'm 2 up from that, and then, you know, so on and so on, 3 down from 20. But yeah, as long as you got that, then you're good. Just get somewhere within spec. I mean, this is within spec, so yeah. And then there's another piece that's going bad on this thing too, which it's about the same as the front. Let me walk around. There's another exhaust too. This right here is going bad. It's just a little forks down here go up against your big clutch down here, which if you got to reset the belt light, you got to take that off anyway, and you'll see it. It's about another $200-300 to fix it. But yeah, though, so that's that. This thing is done. So remember, I do believe spec on the jet here. Let's see. Spec in the shop manual is 1.5 turns out. Turn all the way in. You don't got to crank it in. Just, you know, just turn it until it stops. Just be gentle with it. And then it's 1.5 turns out for spec on that jet. And then you got your fuel and stuff. But make sure if yours is running bad, take its bow off, take the float out, blow air through it, take its jet out, or this adjusting screw out. Make sure you get the washer and O-ring along with the spring out of there before you blow any air, because if you lose that, it's done. You'll have to order all that new because it won't work right. But make sure you get that out of there, get your jets out and everything. Like I got that stuff, I just let it soak in there. I mean, if you really wanted to get cleaned out, let it sit in there all night. Make sure you shake it a little bit. I mean, you ain't got to sit there and grab it and shake like you're shaking up paint, but just, you know, give her like one of these, you know, just get it and then just kind of shake it around. I got a carburetor floating in there right now, so But yeah, just shake it. That way you try to get all the air out of the passages. You know, make sure you take his top off and get this spring and the plunger and everything out of there. Make sure you get all that out. This right here, make sure you get that out of there. Which all you gotta do is take off them 4 screws. Pop this off. There's a big long spring you got underneath there. So just make sure you get all that out and everything. And then, like I said, take you them torch tip cleaners right over here. Go down right in there, right in there. Make sure they're clean, which you can take the jets out. And then whenever you put them down through there, if you tip it over, if the bowl wasn't on here and I had the jets out, put one down in there, you could see it come into the cavity there where they're at. So it'll do pretty good. You can see it. You can make sure they're cleaned out. Grab you some brake cleaner, car spray or something, and get you a air hose and blow through everything. And then I just cleaned them out while it was on the carburetor. That carburetor there, I just cleaned them out while I was sitting there. And it did pretty good. It started working. But yeah, check your air bleeds here. Just, you know, just something to do. Make sure everything's cleaned out. Clean it, put it on there. Like I said, 1.5 turns on the thing, on the jet, the idle mixture, whatever you want to call it. I just call it a jet. But yeah, I mean, maybe if I get the job doing the starter, which this motor's hot right now, which is right there. It's got 2 bolts. You can see one of them. Yeah, there's one of them. The other one's right down in there somewhere. But there's 2 bolts hold the starter on. And you pull it out. Make sure you undo your battery wire. But yeah, so alright, well, y'all have a good one. Comment, subscribe for more, and y'all have a good day.